Okay, I think I will start the meeting. Hello everyone. Happy New Year, and happy to see all of you, and welcome back to the first VODAN Africa and Asia session in 2022. My name is Putu Hadi, and our highlight today is I will share my screen. So we have 10 agendas today. It is we will start with the timeline and then followed by a template and procedure of harmonizing vocabulary by Mariam Basaja. And then after that, we will Oluwole will explain about dashboard development. And then the next agenda is bulk input by Samson. And Tigis will follow by proposal for deployment and arrangement of computers. Then we have agenda of evaluation and procedure for feedback. And then business followed by business case update, finance, special issue, and then the last agenda is any other business if anyone wants to discuss about other agendas in this meeting. So now I will hand over to Prof. Miriam to start with the first agenda. Professor Miriam, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Putu, and very, very happy New Year to everyone. I hope that it will be a really good year. I love to say something about the timeline, but before I do, I want to hand over to Professor Francesca to open the meeting. But just to say that I believe that this will be a very good year. I know that a lot of work has been done behind the, how do you say, behind the screen at the back end. And it's good to have everybody here. We also held some consultations, and it was clear that it's really important that we keep this forum where we all come together. In fact, even more so as we are really going now into the final implementation mode. So thank you all for taking the time. These Tuesdays meetings will continue to be the really central moment where we all meet. All of us are making sacrifices to do so from our busy agendas, but we feel that we have a good setup, we have a good team, and so we would like to really maintain that. So with that, again, from my side, a very happy New Year. I'm excited about 2022. I'm excited about us picking the fruits of all the work that we did in 2021. I know that we'll go far. I know that all of our technical teams have done so much work to make sure that we keep the momentum. So thank you for that. Before I hand over for opening to you, Prof, I would just like to introduce Mingyu Huang. Maybe after you have opened Francesca, he can also introduce himself. He is one of our students from LIACS, Leiden Institute for Advanced Computer Science, and he has offered to participate in VODAN with his master research project. Already he did so in 2 electives and very, very interesting work that he has done. And when he wrote to me, I just had to say yes, Prof. Francesca. I couldn't say no. It's a huge asset to our community. And so I took the liberty to just communicate. Thank you and welcome, Mingyu. Over to you, Prof.
Thank you very much, Prof. A super happy New Year to all the members of our community. I'm delighted to welcome you all to the first meeting of the year. And thank you for all the services and the sacrifices of last year. And congratulations on all the successes we recorded. I would like to thank the technical team who worked through the holidays. And even since the beginning of the year, there has been some consultations going on. And the country teams, the country coordinators meeting that was held yesterday, to thank you all. Thank Dr. Reginald for coordinating it, and then Putu also coordinating the access and control. Yes, like Professor Miriam said, we hope to build on the momentum of last year to continue on our project and deliver on our timelines. So, Prof, maybe you introduce Migu and then you take us on the timeline. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Mingyu, would you like to introduce yourself and maybe also say a little bit about the work that you have already been doing in the context of VODAN and fair data for health in the 2 electives that you followed in LIACS? Mingyu, the floor is yours. Mingyu? You are on mute.
I'm here.
Yes, now we can hear you.
Shall I say something?
Yeah, say something about yourself and about the work that you already did in the 2 electives. Huh?
Hello everyone. I'm Mingyu. I participated in the 2 courses of Marian's in the last years. And for the first course, I finished a project related to the semantic web and corresponding permission control, access control, something like this. And for the second course, I finished with my teammate about field lab, which is called federated learning. It's relevant to the VODAN project. It's centralized machine learning models, and you can distribute the models to different institutions for trainings. So this is the works I did so far. Thank you.
Thank you, Mingyu, and welcome again, Prof. Francesca and everyone. So Mingyu worked on a project of automated permission to get more dynamic permission, access and control on the data together with Putu in the first elective. Prof, and in the second elective, he worked on a project with Ruduan on federated analytics of data held in different locations. And both projects were very innovative and thought-provoking. So Mingyu is very sharp at the level of ideas and pushing us into the next phase, Francesca.
Yes, thank you, Prof. And welcome to Mingyu. We're excited to have you be part of our community, and we'll be happy to continue to work with you. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you. Then I also, before I go into the timeline, I would like to give some other exciting news. This is that Aliyah has accepted an offer for a job as a data steward at the Leiden University Medical Center, LUMC. In fact, tomorrow we have, it's so good news, tomorrow we have a meeting with all of the key people in the data stewardship at LUMC, which includes, of course, our own Eric Flickenshield and Eric Schultes. She will also obviously remain closely connected with Bert, worked with him in the internship, and she will also be working closely with the group of Barend and the work that we had already taken on as VODAN Africa with Professor Mehta. So she's going to be our connecting hub, I think. Aliyah, big congratulations, and yeah, please address us from your new position.
So hi everyone, happy new year, and I'm so happy to see you all back, even though we had so many how to say, very serious situation in Kazakhstan at the beginning of the year, and I had no internet connection. So everything went well. We are being stabilized here in Kazakhstan, and yeah, I accepted offer from LUMC, and probably I'm starting like from the 1st of February, and yeah, I'm looking forward to be one of the person who is joining like the hub, like Professor Miriam mentioned, between VODAN and LUMC, and looking forward to the other new projects. This is very great opportunity for me, and I believe that also being like a part of the VODAN helped me a lot in achieving this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Aliyah. And Bet, thanks to you, because you were the first to offer Aliyah a internship, which set her off in this direction. And maybe you would also like to say a few words at the beginning of this year, Bet, please.
Yes, that is true. And thank you very much, Prof. Miriam. And I'm delighted also to hear that Aliyah will join us. I have a good memory from the early days that we sat in our office in Leiden, and we're thinking about all the plans that we were going to do for VODAN. And here we are now, what is it, a year and a half later. And it's, it all came through. So thank you very much for the opportunities. Thank you very much for taking the opportunity also. And with Erik Flickenshield also, and a couple of other people at LUMC, I think we're going to do some great things here. And for the rest, I wish everybody an equal great 2022, as we had a fantastic year in 2021. So thanks very much, and let's carry on, because this for me is still a flagship project. It's one of the most advanced projects that we have at this moment, of this size and of this nature. So excellent job. And let's push it forward this year.
Thank you so much, Bet. I think you are really the father of this project in so many ways. The very first person under your wings was Mariam, and see where she is. We hope that she'll be defending very, very soon. And then now followed by Aliyah and so many more to come. Really thank you, Bet, for everything that you've done for us.
Yeah, thanks.
So let me now continue on the item of the agenda that Professor Francesca asked me to comment on, and this is the timeline. So the technical group has been now reconstituted with, of course, Olawole and Ezra, who are here, who have done fantastic work at the end of December and over the holidays and up to today. As well as Mariam, same thing. She's worked so hard, and things are so well coming together. We will show you today, so that we really want to share with you that confidence that we have. Rudoan, who at the moment basically did the things, but will pick up again as we are making the image. And then the team from Samson that has joined now, and who are working on the bulk input. So all of these things you've seen in the agenda that Putu has shared. I'm saying that because it's critical to understand as we're looking at the timeline. So Mariam will brief today on some of the work that she has been doing now to put together all of the final templates that will be part of the image to being prepared for the installation. Olawole and Ezra will present to you today how the back end and the front end are coming together. The architecture is clear. We will then basically aim to keep with the timeline that we have, that demands quick work from Mariam, but is possible. She is on it. Because those final templates are then integrated within the image that will then be deployed within 5 locations. And so that is our second testing. And that is something that we will do in January. Still is possible. Today we are the 18th. So it's pushing on, but it's possible. And that then sets our stage to prepare the deployment in the 84 facilities in February. Tigis today will present to you one of the proposals of how to do this deployment. We'll consider it, and then we'll take that to the country coordinators meeting. We have felt that we will simplify a little bit the meetings, also to reduce the time a bit. So at the moment, we are proposing that we will operate as follows. This meeting on Tuesday is really the central meeting where everything comes together. So we really recommend that you keep this time, please, available for VODAN and for these important updates and to keep together as a community. Then the work on the data stewardship, competent stewardship, that basically was under the wing of Aliyah together with John on the Monday evenings, that we have stopped for the moment. At the moment, it is really Mariam and colleagues working on the final versions of the templates for the installation. However, Aliyah is now getting her feet into the situation in LUMC, and that allows us to kind of reconsider that whole setup around the data stewardship competency in that context. So we'll explore that a bit further and then come back on that to you. So the meeting of Aliyah for the time being is discontinued. We'll pick it up later. We are completely focused on deployment now. That means we're basically working with 2 meetings, the Tuesday meetings, and then we have brought together the meeting of country coordinators, which is led by our super coordinator, Dr. Reginald, with the help of Putu, and Putu is organizing the 2 meetings, country coordinators and deployment coordinators, in the Monday meeting that always takes place in the early afternoon on Monday. So 2 meetings, Monday and Tuesday, and that is all for the time being. Then the importance is going to be to get the coordination within country going, because there is really where the deployment needs to take place. There are further updates, but we'll take that as we go through the agenda. We have the draft evaluation, which is very, very positive. And we also have done more work on the business plan and all of that. So I'll leave that for now. On the timeline, just to reiterate, second pilot in January, and everybody to be prepared for the full deployment in February, as with our plan that we have been working on since October last year. Thank you. Professor Francesca, I hand over to you.
Thank you very much, Prof, for the detailed presentation on the timeline. I would like to check, sorry, yes. So the next item for discussion is the presentation of the templates and procedures for harmonizing vocabulary to be made by Miriam, who is leading the templates team. Miriam, please.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Francisca. So I'll just basically share my screen. So basically for the second pilot phase, we'll be working with 3 templates. The outpatient register for each country, a generic COVID-19 template, and a generic maternal child's register template. However, the maternal child is still under review due to the fact that Ethiopia has a template already. So I'll just basically show the fields that have been decided on so far. So during our meetings, also our meeting yesterday, we came to a conclusion that all the templates used within VODAN will have some fields that are identical. And some of those will be the date of the patient visits, and also it was noted that
Mariam,
yeah.
do you mind, because we are already 25 minutes into the meeting and we have still a long agenda, can we focus on the harmonizing of the controlled vocabularies in relation to the terminology and the issue of the MCC templates that might be needed in countries where there are MCCs, like for instance, as we discovered yesterday in Ethiopia?
Okay. So basically, the writing on the standardizing of the bioportal is work in progress, and what's basically going to happen is that basing on the first template, which is the Ugandan outpatient register, the terms are going to be standardized across the different countries. And this will also be done on the fields as well, using the fields, seen as some fields may actually have a similar meaning, however, stated in a different way. So for instance, in the Ugandan template, we have a serial number, and in the Nigerian templates, it's called a service number or SN. So that would base the SN or service number would then be the second best option for a term to use in case the serial number does not apply. And so basically what would happen is that within the Nigerian template, the field name would be serial number, and then the label would be service number or SN. Yeah, and then
on this issue, if you have finished on this issue, there are two things to do, and I think we're going to discuss it again bilaterally. There is the standardizing of the terms, and there is a standardizing of the vocabulary. It goes too far at this meeting to go into the detail, but that is the work that we are still doing before we can move it into the visualization process. And then the second issue is the issue of the MCC and whether the countries do actually have documentation on the MCCs that should be used to finalize those templates.
Yes, so I actually got the templates from Tigist this morning, an ANC template. I don't know if I should share that too, so that everyone can see the fields. Should I share my, let me just stop the share here. No. So this is the Ethiopian ANC template, the antenatal care register, and it actually has some of the fields that were not included in the generic template that had been created. So the question now is that, do other countries also have maternal child care registers?
Okay, Mariam, let me get this then to the conclusion so that we can move on with the agenda. Okay. Is that our request to the country coordinators is that you check whether there is a mother and child care form that you want to be used in the health facilities. And we would really need that as soon as possible. Yesterday, we realized that we were working on a generic template and that in fact, Tigist had already done an MCC template in the context of Ethiopia, which was good that we discovered it and excellent that she did that. So we want to make sure, country coordinators, that we have all of the MCC templates that correspond with the use in the health facilities. If you can kindly bring that to our awareness, Mariam, but also please copy me in, then that allows us to advance. I really think it's 2:30 that we need to move on to the next issue on the agenda, which is, I think, Prof, the dashboard. And thank you, Mariam.
Thank you very much, Mariam. Oluwale is not on the call, but on the dashboard deployment, yes, you might join soon. Oh, Ezra is here. Ezra, please, could you kindly take on the dashboard deployment?
Okay. Happy New Year, everyone. It's glad to be back. I hope you're all good. I want to give an update on this. Oluwale and I came to an agreement earlier during the day since he's caught up. And the progress is as below. The Ugandan template was created on the local instance and hooked up with the dashboard. We should be getting our hands off it. Kindly mute. I was saying the Ugandan template is ready on the local machine. It has been hooked up with a dashboard and we should be getting our hands off that today. And we are left with now one challenge while doing our work. And that's remote access, because if we are going to, for example, work with the Nigerian instance, we need to have JSON data copied from the template here, there. We might need to access the machine, and it's quite clear that remote access in this part of the world is not so much pleasant, and that might retard the work that we are doing and the progress. So we kind of came up with a request that can we have templates created on let the templates be created on the Ugandan local instance. We can work with them easily, then we can export a finished image to each respective country. Much as the dashboard is going to be dynamic, well, it's just a matter of passing parameters, the template ID here and the URL. There is a little technical housekeeping that you have to first do before you fully run the dashboard. So we thought this can also maybe hinder progress. And we thought if we do it all here and we just ship a finished image that is just ready for deploying for each country, that would be better. So this is a request. I don't know how it's going to be made. And I was working with Mariam yesterday when she was working on the COVID template on the Ugandan local instance. And I think the experience with the Ugandan local instance is a little bit better as compared to some countries. So it's my humble request that is it possible to have templates created on the local instance for Uganda? We work with them, set up the dashboard, do everything, test, and then we send out an image ready for deployment to each respective country. Otherwise, the case for Uganda should be done by the end of today.
That's great, Ezra. I don't think it's possible. I think what is possible is that we first finalize the Ugandan image. However, the crux of this tooling that we are making is that it is fine-tuned to each of the situation. So what I would like to ask is a meeting with the team, Oluwole, yourself, and Mariam, because I still think that the issue of standardization of the terminology and vocabulary is not well understood. I will also ask for a meeting that includes Mariam and Aliyah, because this is at the heart of what we are trying to make. And it is certainly not possible to take Uganda as a standard for Nigeria or Ethiopia. So we cannot do that. We need to solve the underlying issue.
Prof, my request was not to take Uganda as a standard. My request was to have the Nigerian template directly created on the local instance for Uganda. We work with it, then we export an image that is specific to Nigeria. It's just to quicken our work, not that we are taking the fields for Uganda and all that and basing them and how should I put it, for the lack of a better word, and superimposing them onto Nigeria. We are requesting that let the Nigerian templates exist on the local Ugandan instance. When we are done working with it, we can delete it off, but it's just to make it easier for us to set up the Nigerian instance.
Yeah, so the image production, that is fine. That's a production issue. So if that is if the proposal relates to creating different images or different instances for the different situations, based on using Uganda as the first one, I have no problem, but they need to be adapted to each of the facility situation. Yeah,
that's fine. And also, I looked at the Stanford instance just to make sure how control term works, how the control terms work with Mariam, and SEDA returns them through JSON as an attribute, not as something you can use to query. For example, let me see if I can get the working example of this.
Would you like to share your screen?
Let me just set it up first, or what I want to display, then I can share that. It's just a second. Okay. So this is the format that SIDA sends data and all instances. I request people to mute their microphones. So I showed this to Mariam yesterday, and this data is coming from Stanford. Just a second, just kind of give me a second. Just a second, apologies. Just give me.
Still have Ezra on the line? Okay, still here.
Yeah, I mean, apologies. I'll just share this. This is the data that is coming from Stanford through the API, and I will give an example of tuberculosis. This field right here. It says it has a control term via this link, and it should be something like this. Now, when we are querying this data from SIDA, we do not, it's very hard to query with the value, but rather we look for the field. So much as a field might have a control term, it remains a challenge of how we are going to use that control term to query the data from SIDA. So I was actually proposing to Mariam yesterday that yes, maybe we can work with field names right now and see and come up with a way how we can actually depend on control terms. For example, if I wanted to get data for nutrition, let me get an example here. Can't really find one. Let me see. Just such. I know the meeting is quite short, and I didn't want to kind of so much delve into this, but it's
Ezra, do you mind that I think that what you are dealing with at the moment is really the very, very essential. And I appreciate that you're bringing it up. But can we have a meeting with you, Francesca, Alia, and Mariam on this? Because I think when we're talking about standardization, harmonization, controlling the vocabularies, and what you're just showing here, we are really speaking about the same problem. So maybe we can continue the meeting as it is, we have identified that this is the crux, and of course we can solve it. It's just a semantic issue, but can we take it offline? So maybe tomorrow we can meet on these specific issues. I'll be happily available.
Okay, perfect.
All right, then I think that it would have been nice also, Francesca, to show the way in which the dashboard looks. We have seen it because we were in the meeting last week.
Yeah.
Not everybody has seen it, but otherwise we can ask Ezra and Oluwole to present that next week, Tuesday. It's just nice for everybody to see, and also it's useful for the country coordinators to work with.
To have a feel. Yeah, right.
Do you have that on your system right away, Ezra?
I have it. It would require some modifications for people to see exactly what I have to do. But
I can show the dashboard presentation if you want, and then you can speak to it, Ezra. Is that a good idea?
Pardon?
I can share here the dashboard presentation.
Yeah, sure. That's better.
Then you can speak to it. So this is the one from Oluwole.
Okay.
Do you see it?
This kind of looks different from what I have.
Yeah, you have made modifications.
Facility, yes. It's modifications to this. So,
I guess it's fine to wait till next week then, Prof.
okay, let's wait. We'll have to wait till next week.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ezra. And then the proposal you're making both on the vocabularies and on the image, we'll meet tomorrow maybe to consider it at the technical level. And then if need be, if there's anything that needs specific approval from the countries, Dr. Reginald can call an emergency meeting of the country coordinators and have that sorted. I've seen that Dr. Sakinat asked to be invited to the meeting, so I think it's okay to also include her in the plans for the technical meeting. It's fine. Thank you. Next, Samson will be presenting the report on the bulk input. Samson and team has been working on the bulk input. And then since he got back, he has also been looking at it. Samson, please.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Loud and
yeah. First of all, I'm happy to be back here and to report on what we have been doing together with Gay2 here and the rest of the team. What we tried to do is we tried to access the image that's created, but because of the connection issue, we weren't able to download the big image. But fortunately, we had a local instance of a working image, which is made also on a virtual machine by Gay2. So we have been testing the work that was already done in the bulk input, and we are testing it, and we are testing it with a template that we created for testing, and to get that to test each template to make it easy. What the first option that we did is, because we will be creating more templates in different countries, making use of template specific inputs is going to be challenging. So if like it was presented the other time, it was done in such a way that it can input a bulk input that's prepared in a CSV format into any template by copying the template settings and other settings. What we are now trying in the process of doing the discussion we had with Oluwale and the rest of the team is to integrate it with the dashboard. That part is not done yet, but we are able to test it here locally to be able to input, and for us here it's working. And going forward, we will look into how we can test it in other settings, and how we can either integrate it with the dashboard, or because this is going to be a service that's going to be used on a demand basis and predominantly on the research data. We can start with probably working with Mariam, and because she's working on research data, and we can move forward from there. I think I can prepare a presentation for next week, or we can start to see it on other technical meetings, so that we see how we thank you. We're glad to be back here.
Thank you, Samson, and we're glad to have you and the rest of the Mekele team back. It will be nice, yes, if we can make a presentation for next week and possibly prepare to also demonstrate. Let's see other countries can adopt the bulk input interface. Thank you very much. We call on Chigis next, who has a proposal on the deployment and arrangement of computers. Chigis.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Chigis.
Hi. We are proposing to have a different setup of CDAR installation, like server and client machine. Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Currently, we are testing the CDAR deployment in standalone computers. And we have seen that the deployment process is too long and it requires a high capacity computer. For example, in Ethiopia, we have around 20 health facilities to use for CDAR deployment. And every machine, every workstation have to run the service deployment. They have to create and manage users and manage login and store the data with the standalone computers. And in that case, we have seen a drawback that the CDAR image should be deployed on a client machine. And it is very difficult to manage the system centrally and to see the aggregate data. So we propose to use a server client architecture. The server has to manage everything, and the health facility should request the access, and the server respond the necessary informations. That means the server should deploy the services. We have to run the CDAR image on the server, and the server should create and manage users, and also manage the login process and store the data centrally at the server. And the workstations at each facility will be responsible for data entry and requesting access. So in that, with that, we'll benefit that the CDAR image will be deployed on a server. It is a one-time job, and the users will be created and managed centrally, and authentication is going to be held at the server side, and the data will be stored and managed centrally for all health facilities, and the aggregate data will be available on the server, and it's easy to create a dashboard and to do the statistical or for a research purpose. And also all technical issues will be managed centrally. In that, with that, we propose to have a server client architecture for the CDAR deployment. And we believe that will minimize the efforts. And if there is any update, we have to going to update only the server side. The client server or the health facilities will not have a problem to install and run the CDAR application now and then if there is an update. So we propose to think of CDAR installation as a server and client architecture. And thank you. That is our proposal from Ethiopia.
Thank you very much, Tigis. I think we can briefly throw this open. If we're not able to conclude on this, we may have to take them at the other meetings, the bilateral meetings. Yes, Kawu. How do you like Kawu? Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Tigist. I hope everyone can hear me.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think your proposal makes architectural sense, especially looking at and even economic sense, because looking at the resources to set up this will indeed save a lot in terms of deployment. However, I have a reservation on in two respects. First is the regulation of countries. I don't know for Ethiopia, but in the case of Nigeria, the general perception, and this is guided by the NGDPR, is that data must reside within the facility. So when you make it server client kind of architecture, data then becomes central, even if you keep it in the Ministry of Health, for instance, which is not likely, or the research institute. It's still a problem because you are now still taking data out of the facility. And I think this is common global practice that for sensitive health data, they should reside within the facility. So I don't know your consideration of that. The second is on the security level. Central data, what they end up also doing is creating what we call a honeypot, meaning if there are attacks on data, they can easily attack a central location. And even before you make any response, you know, you have tendency for more damage than, yeah. So the honeypot attack is really a concern in a central architecture. However, I will defer to other technical people on the call on this regard. But yeah, data regulation is a problem I foresee. The second is the cybersecurity aspect. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aklai, for this contribution. Is there any other contribution from members of the community? The country coordinators should have something to say about this, because client architecture in Ethiopia. Right. Yes, Professor Miriam already even summarized that. And I wasn't at the country coordinators meeting, but that was my talk too. Yes, Dr. Araya. Dr. Araya, you have your hands raised. Please, can you unmute and speak?
Yeah, this is Getu speaking on behalf of Dr. Araya. We are together here.
Hi, nice to have you.
Hi, Prof, how are you? Nice to you all. Yeah, so I have a reservation on the proposal by text. I think the very first aim of the FAIR data is to force the data to stay at residence. So if we follow the server client architecture, so it will be breached. I mean, the FAIR data staying at the residence will be breached. So I think we need to stick with the previous architecture, which force the data to stay in the residence. So I really appreciate the comments by Abdullahi. I think all are taken here in Tigray. I think the problem which we were trying to bring solution to the Ethiopian architecture is that all centralized. So we need to make it federated. Therefore, the previous architecture is very good to follow. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you very much, Getu. Tigis, you will respond last. So let us hear from Dr. Sakinat.
Yeah.
Then you will respond after everyone. Tigis. Dr. Sakinat, please.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Professor Francisca. I think that initially my understanding of our architecture is like the personal health stream, where our algorithm, our analysis visits our data at the premise. And then just like the personal health train architecture, the data stays at the premise. So, but if we want to consider this proposal, then we also have to have a look at the country, just like Madam Kawu had said. So I don't think it will really go down well or run parallel with this new proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sakina. Tigis, perhaps you'd like to respond now before we close that.
Okay, thank you. Our proposal is even for a facility, we have more than one OPD and NC departments. And even within a facility, we have to have a standalone machines to deploy every image in all machines. But even in a facility level, we have to have a server and client architecture. Otherwise, we cannot see different OPDs will have different registration of a patient. If one patient came with one OPD and next time if he come to another OPD, we cannot get data for individuals centrally. In that case, not in a country level, even in a facility level, we have to have server client application. But we can think of a security issue and other things on a higher level, and it needs discussions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tigis. I think we can still discuss this further in the interest of time, but we need, whatever we do, bear it in mind that the computers, the standalone computers and the facilities, we are treating them as servers. Actually, if we had the funding, we would have purchased servers for each of the facilities. So each of the facility computers is a kind of a server. Now, if you're thinking of a client server at the facility level, maybe, but just bear that in mind. And then the issue of tracing of health records, those are the factors that can be handled at the facility level. They can think of a policy way of tracing. Okay, Professor Miriam said she will check the funding available. But we have the funding of the server. Yes, but we cannot afford the cost of server. That was why we went for standalone desktops. I have Dr. Wondimu and Tony Walsh. Dr. Wondimu, you speak first, and then Tony will speak after you. This is a very important point, actually. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Francisca, and thank you, Tigis, and the others for the presentation. So, just my suggestion is that possible to have, a server, small server at the central country level, and then I think that also important for just to ensure the security issue if there is any possibility to get fund. Thank you. Over.
Thank you. I will take Tony. That will be the last on this. We'll have to repeat this point. The bilateral
thank you,
meeting.
Prof. Thank you, Prof. Yeah, I like the way the direction is going, and I I'm happy the way VODAN Africa has taken its primary decision in terms of the data staying in the particular facility. But as Tigis comes in, as we move forward, it will be very difficult to have several standalones that are put within a facility, because all the facilities you're talking about have got different levels of data entry, different levels of access. And my suggestion is we'd rather look at ways we can, within the legislation, within GPDR, we look at ways that we can improve on the security on a network, because a client server will be very necessary for the final success. Now, as a minimum viable product, it's fine. But in due course, as we move forward, we will see that it will be necessary that we have to have a possibility of interconnecting all the users within the facility, or the departments within the facility. And maybe even in the future, based on the country's rules and regulations and legislation, trying to see the possibility, as long as it does not leave the geographical presence of the country, it is possible that people can work on the security, access control, and make sure that whatever that queries the data is the only one that comes from outside the geographical region. That's my take. I think with all those reservations, I'm still happy with what Tigis has presented. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Tony, for that excellent take. We will continue the discussion on this. The next set of items are actually to be given as update by Professor Miriam. So, Prof, perhaps we can just take 6, 7, 8, and 9 in the next 5 minutes so we can close. We're already way beyond time. We're already 2 minutes. Professor Miriam.
Thank you, Professor Francesca, and thank you for that excellent presentation, Tigist, and very excellent debate that you were leading, Francesca, very critical debate. So I'm supposed to talk on the evaluation. My proposal is, Professor Francesca, that we take that to the VODAN board meeting first, and then maybe next week, prepared by VODAN board, have a discussion on the evaluation. I don't think it's a big problem. I think it's a very positive evaluation, but maybe that is the correct procedure, Professor Francesca?
All right, well, that's absolutely, the board needs to see the evaluation first.
Yeah, and then we can bring it back in this meeting. Yes. And send it around and share it. So we have a procedure for that. Then the business case update is that now, based on the evaluation, the business case team, which is led by Philips, will need to consider what this means. At some point, we should really discuss it here and maybe take a time to go through the proposals that are on the table. So maybe I can request Putu to schedule this in one of the next meetings. It doesn't need to be I would first do the evaluation first, because that is ready, and then the business case, Putu. In terms of the finances, I will pick it up with Frederick now. If there are any pending things, make sure that we know, so that we can then discuss it. Francesca, me, and Frederick will look at it. I think that the computers are calculated to be deployed as a standalone server in view of that principle that the data are held in residence. but I do really take from the presentation of Tigis that in big facilities with multiple OPDs, we have not budgeted for more than one computer or server, and then we absolutely need to work with a server client architecture. So I think for now that is probably the best way forward, but I leave that to you, Francesca, to together with the country coordinators to give guidance on that. And then I wanted to say once again that the special issue has gone to Feng Hong. I haven't heard back, but I think maybe it's holidays at the moment there. So I'm expecting to hear from her. I've not done anything because I'm waiting. All the articles are with her. I'm waiting now to hear from her. The only thing that I need to do still is to send around the opening article for authorization to all of the authors. That is what I haven't done. Otherwise, that is completely finished. All the reviews have been done. There is nothing left to do. That's it from me, Prof.
Yes, thank you very much, Prof, for the well summarized points on the evaluation, the business case, and on the special issue. I want to thank everyone for their contribution to today's meeting. And Putu, I'll hand over to you now because we're already 6 minutes late to closing, so you close the meeting.
Okay, thanks, Professor Francisca. So is there any question or any feedback for this meeting? So I will count, going once, going twice. Okay, then there is no question anymore. So I will close the meeting. So thanks everyone to attend the meeting, and as always, the video recording of the webinar will be available this week in YouTube and WhatsApp group. Thanks again for joining us, and we will see you next week, everyone. Congratulations to all, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Right, thank you. Thank you.